Hello, my name's Mabel Halliday and I teach art and design within William Wood High School. I would like to emphasise that there are 3 areas within our course. These 3 areas where they can study at home are the historical studies aspects of the course, which is both design and expressive. Expressive activity, which is the drawing and painting area within the course, and the design activity, which is the problem solving and product design area within the course. I'd like to deal first of all with the historical essay and the dissertation. What's important is our students have created and developed an essay in class and at home, but they've developed it in such a way that when they come to study it, they have all the material in front of them, and these visual aids support the process of their learning.
Well, we're given 2 artists and 2 contrasting pieces of artwork, which we then take home to do further research on, perhaps about their life and their technique throughout their art career. Once we have gathered the information, we might use our study cards and display the information on them to help us remember facts and things that we need to know. We're then given words to help describe and illustrate our knowledge of the piece of artwork, which we then are analysing, and we are given past papers which we then can use at home and practice our technique and further develop our knowledge for our final exam.
The study cards are introduced at a very early stage. The students develop their own study cards, which means they're much more accessible for the candidates. The students are able to regurgitate information because it's in their own words. They're still continuing to use books at home, so they're referencing information constantly comes from their historical information that they're gathering. They're also working with past papers and previous papers that have existed in exemplification of other artists and designers' work. What's important at this point is the structure within the course. We give our students the questions, the responses, the justification, the personal opinion. We give them opportunities to respond in a very personal way. And we make sure that our candidates are working through each area, which has been divided up in a very, very simple way. So when they go home, they're able to take these skills and redevelop it and extend in a much more comfortable environment. And I think that's what's important. Their personal opinion, their justification comes out in a much more dynamic way when they're at home, because they have the freedom to develop these areas. They have time to be able to put all of this together. The table that you'll see in front of you is a desk which should look like a historical dissertation desk that has all the material that will allow them to study.
I study for the expressive activities in art and design by taking what our teachers have demonstrated to us, the techniques using different mediums, and then I take them home and enhance those techniques. So we'll learn how to use things like watercolour, pen and ink, shading, different colours, different styles, different backgrounds. You know, you'll use oil and some of yours will be really accurate and technical, and some of it will be just really quick and create the objects. And obviously here you develop and you do different angles and you really understand, you know, the shades and the tones of your pieces, and then you can start bringing in things like colour, shading, and then you know exactly what you're good at and what your final design should look like.
Within the expressive activity, it's quite a strange thing to consider that students could actually study at home. But in actual fact, when we look at the definition of study, it's about looking closely, it's about observing, it's about reading, it's about scrutinising, it's about inspecting, considering, regarding. These are all the terms that we expect when for our students to go home and study the expressive activity, and they'll do that in a variety of different ways. They will draw and record information, techniques will be delivered in class, media and technique will be demonstrated by the member of staff, and from that point the teacher will then expect the candidates to go home and practice, to set up a table, to set up a space, to use the materials that they've been issued or the materials within their art and design pack, and they will then record information 2-dimensionally and 3-dimensionally using a variety of different skills. They will observe and record their subject matter. This is a series of single object studies which have all been completed at home for the expressive activity. Our students have had the confidence and the time and the opportunity to work in a very quiet, gentle environment where they can record and repeat the task that was assigned in class. I'd now like to discuss the design aspect within the course. Again, it's very similar to the expressive activity. We want our students to be able to go home, to record their information, to develop their skills and also to memorise the process. It's very important when we deliver courses within class. The classroom environment allows the candidate to record and carry out the task, but it doesn't allow them to create that level of freedom. So our study time with regards to the design activity is about our candidates going home, completing the exercise again for a second time, but then maybe repeating that exercise 3 or 4 times.
How I study for the design aspect of the course is when in class the teachers will tell us techniques on how to create certain objects. Like last week when we did repetition with our paper forms, we then go home and we then analyse these techniques. We dig deep, we try to recreate it ourselves, we try different ways. We paint, we use collage, we try to recreate what we learned in class. After we've made our technique ourselves and we've found ways to do it better and make it much more exciting and exuberant, we then return to class and we reproduce this because, of course, practice makes perfect.
With regards to the design activity, we expect the sampling and the practice of the technique and the exploration of the media. We expect this to be carried out at home. And exploring that technique at home will give the student the opportunity then to come back in during class time and develop their ideas for their value added, for the area within their course that will be presented to SQA.